This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in yesterday's session, we have discussed about what is the role of a performance tester, and how to capture those response times, and also we have discussed the high-level information of what each component does in the LR architecture, right? So today we'll see some more concepts of performance testing. Okay, so let's assume. Uh, let's assume there is a bank application. Okay, now let's assume there are certain number of users. Okay, there are certain number of users. For example, user 1, user 2, user 3, so on till user 100. Okay, so just a second, let me just close this. Yeah, yeah. So let's assume we have an application. Okay, for example, it's a bank website, and then also we have certain number of users, and I have shown it. User 1, 2, 3, and so on. You till user 100. Now what these users are, who are these users, in real time scenario, these users are nothing but the people who are accessing the bank application, right? In real time scenario, these users are nothing but the people who are accessing the bank application. For our testing purposes, we are simulating users, right? So that's the reason I've mentioned as user 1, user 2, user 3, and so on till user 100. So for example, so what's the time now? So the time is around 8:05 or 8 a.m. Let's assume 8 a.m. So at 8 a.m. today, okay, let's 8 a.m. today, these 100 users are accessing this particular bank website. Okay, at 8 a.m. today, these 100 users are accessing this particular website today. So all those users who logged in simultaneously are called concurrent users. Okay, all those users who logged in concurrently are called concurrent users in performance testing terminology. In performance testing terminology. So, okay, now what does this mean? All those users logged in simultaneously. That means each of these users are performing some functionality, right? So each of these users are performing some functionality. For example, some of the users might be on the login page. Some of the users might be on the credit cards payment page. Some of them might be on the might be transferring some amount to some other person, and some of them might be changing their account information, and some of them might be doing some logout activities. Okay, so each one of them are doing certain activities now. Okay, now how can I say that this particular application is working working real quick or real fast? Okay, if these number of if these 100 users, I know. Yeah, can you please go on mute, please? So if these 100 users uh, are performing some transactions, if these 100 users are performing some transactions on this particular bank application, and if the response time for all the transactions, and if the response time for all the transactions is within the SLA, then we can say that this application is performing some real quick, or it's performing performance wise it is better. Okay, but what is SLA here? SLA here means service level agreement. Okay, the service level agreement, in yesterday's class we have discussed that as per the industry standard, the response time would be 2 seconds, right? If anything more than 2 seconds, we consider it as little high. The response time, anything more than 2 seconds, we'll consider the application to be little slower. Okay, now in some projects, the SLA will be 3 seconds. It depends on the projects and the clients. Okay, but as per the industry standard, the SLA will be 2 seconds for any web application. Okay, so if these 100 users are accessing this particular website and performing some transactions, and the response time for all these transactions are within the SLA, then we can say that this application is doing well in terms of performance. Okay. Now if I if I test with one or two users, we cannot consider it as performance testing. So even if I have to consider it as a performance testing, the number should be somewhat high. It cannot be one or two. If it is one or two, I can keep one or two people and allocate one or two machines, and I can ask them to test it. But as a performance tester, we will test for in real time. We will test for 100 users, 500 users, 1,000 users, and sometimes 3,000, 5,000 users as well. Okay, but now we understood what is the performance testing. How are we capturing the response times and all. Okay, now we will see what is the actual definition for this. This is not that important in terms of interview. In interview, nobody will ask you, what is the definition for performance testing and all. But for our purpose, we'll understand what is the exact meaning of this. I mean, exact definition of this performance testing. Okay, so okay, yeah. So this performance testing (PT) is testing an application for speed, stability, and scalability. In production-like environment under virtual user load to meet non-functional requirements. Guys, if you see, there are so many new words here. For example, speed, stability, scalability, and production-like environment and non-functional requirements. All these are new words for us, right? So now we'll move ahead and we'll discuss these words. Okay, we'll move ahead and we'll discuss new words, these words. Okay, so performance testing, first we'll discuss speed. So performance testing with respect to speed, performance testing is measured with respect to speed. How it is measured in sense, how fast the application responds, how fast the application is responding to your request, with expected load. Okay, so for example, in our previous example, we have given the expected load as 100, right? We assume that there are 100 users logging in into bank application, right? So that means that is the expected load, So how fast the application is responding to your request with the expected load. Okay, so that is how the speed is related to with respect to performance testing. Okay, now we'll see stability. What is stability? Stability, performance should not degrade even after using the application for longer time. Okay, what it means is, for example, I'm running the test, I'm running the test for longer time. Okay, let's assume I'm running the test for 8 hours or 1 day or something like that. The performance should be same. The very first hour, whatever the performance, whatever the response time that we are getting, it should be similar to the response times from the last hour. The performance should not degrade. It should be constant. Okay, that is what the stability means. Okay, now we have something called scalability. Okay, scalability is nothing but the ability to handle increasing user without performance degradation. What it means is, for example, in our previous example, we had 100 users, right? So for example, if I want to increase the users to 200, okay, if I want to increase the users to 200, the application should be able to support, okay, if application should be able to support the increasing user volume, okay, increasing user load, without performance degradation. But let's assume I have increased the user to 100 to 150. If I'm testing with 150 users, that doesn't mean that performance has to degrade. Okay, the performance has to be same. Okay, so now we have seen the performance testing with respect to speed, stability, and scalability. Guys, remember these three words: speed, stability, and scalability. We will discuss them, or else I will relate these three words to our next topics today. Okay, so do remember these words: speed, stability, and scalability. Okay, let's move on. Now, what was the other words which we had to discuss in the performance testing definition? Production like environment. Okay, production like environment. So we'll discuss production like environment now. So generally, the performance testing will be performed in a production like environment. Okay, so whatever the infrastructure, whatever the configurations that are there in the production, the same configurations, the same infrastructure should be there in the performance testing environment as well. Okay, it's kind of an apple to apple comparison. The same infrastructure should be there, the same kind of data should be there. Okay, same infrastructure and same data should be there. Okay, so and in general in functional testing environment, in manual testing environment, for example SIT environment, the environment in production might not be, the environment in SIT or manual testing environment might not be same as production environment, because in manual testing or functional testing environment like SIT, we will not put performance testing load. Okay, will not put more load. Generally they'll check for the functionality, they'll verify the functionality whether it is working as expected or not. So there is no need to put more load on it. So for example in production there are two app servers here. Okay, for example in production there are two app servers here. Okay, in production there are two app servers here and there is one load balancer. But in manual testing or functional testing environment, there need not be two app servers, there could be one app server only, or there will not be any load balancer at all. The web server the request from web server will directly go to app server. Okay, so in functional testing environment, the infrastructure or the configurations, the infrastructure setup, the environment setup might not be the same, okay, as the production environment. But in performance testing environment, the environment should be exactly exactly the replica of the production environment. Yeah, I repeat, this is very important, that the environment in the performance testing, okay, the performance testing environment should be it should be kind of the replica of the production environment. Okay, if there are two app servers in production environment, then there should be two app servers in the performance testing environment. If there is a load balancer here, then there should be a load balancer here as well. And if there is a DB server here, then there should be a DB server here as well. Okay, so this is how the environment is set up. If there is any difference in terms of environment setup from production to performance testing environment, then there is no point in doing performance testing. Then there is no point in doing performance testing. Okay, so whenever you are testing any application in performance testing environment, you should make sure that the infrastructure or the setup should be the replica of the production environment. Okay, now okay, now now we'll go back and we'll see one more wording. What was that with respect to performance testing definition? Yeah, the non-functional requirements. Okay, we have discussed about speed, stability, and scalability. We have discussed about production-like environment. Now we'll discuss about the non-functional requirements. So generally, as a functional tester, what they do, that they test the functionality to meet the functional requirement. They have specific functional requirements, right? So they test the functionality to meet the functional requirements. Likewise, in performance testing also, we test we test to meet the non-functional requirements. Okay, to meet the non-functional requirements. So which is nothing but the NFR. Do remember this performance terminology, performance testing terminology, like LR is load runner, NFR is non-functional requirements, and PT is performance testing. Please do remember all these performance
Sorry to interrupt.
terminology.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Actually, we are not able to see your screen.
Okay, just a second. I think somewhere I lost it. Are you able to see now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So here I was discussing, with respect to definition, performance testing definition. We have discussed about speed, stability, and scalability earlier, and we have already discussed production-like environment. I was discussing about the non-functional requirements, So, as a performance tester, we need to meet those non-functional requirements. Okay, so and also we should remember this performance testing terminology every time, like the NFR is nothing but the non-functional requirements, and the PT is performance testing, and LR is load runner. Similar kind of terminology we'll be using it going forward, and something like AUT also, application under test. Okay, so now this is the comparison between the production environment and the performance testing environment. Okay, it should be a replica of the same. Okay,
Sir, can I ask-
yeah,
Yeah.
tell me.
So when we do the performance testing, it all depends on the NFR, right?
Yeah,
So,
it all depends on the NFR.
so NFR was provided by the client.
Yeah, NFR will be provided by the client or the business team.
Okay.
So,
So
any
do we,
questions with? Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sir, in between, like for example, since I come from manual testing, the requirements keep on changing as and when there is an enhancement happens. So will that be same happening in performance testing as well?
Yes, requirements keep on changing. So, for every requirement change, we'll not do performance testing. So, whatever, for suppose, developer has made some changes in the, code. If the developer thinks, or if the developer or the business thinks that that particular change is impacting the performance, might impact the performance, then it will come to one round of performance testing. Okay, or else for every change, performance testing will not be done. If they think that the performance might be impacted with this change, then only that particular application will come to performance testing again. So for every release, mostly it will come. Sometimes there might not be any changes related to performance, so that release they'll skip, and the next release again it will come back when there are any changes with respect to performance. And in the agile world, there will be frequent changes. So in every release, mostly the performance life cycle is continuing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
If it is a waterfall model, there are 3 months life cycle, 3 months testing cycle. So there also there are very high chances of for an application to be performance tested, because in 3 months so many things might change. In those changes, if there is anything which is related to performance, definitely it has to be performance tested.
Thank you,
So
sir.
now, yeah. So now we discussed, we are good with what is that performance testing, and exact definition, what are terminologies, and also please do remember these three things: speed, stability, and scalability. We'll relate these 3 words now, okay, in coming concepts. Okay. Now, as we understood what is performance testing, now we'll look into different types of performance testing. So here we have load test, stress test, endurance test, scalability test, and volume test. Okay, we'll look all these one by one. Okay, no. Okay, so load test. Generally, okay, load test ensures that that the application and the test is stable. That's what. In the previous example today, in the initial example what I have given for the bank application, the expected load was 100 users, right? The expected load was 100 users. So with those 100 users, okay, all those 100 users accessing the bank application at a time or simultaneously, and accessing and working on all those, performing all those transactions, are the response time, okay, is within the SLA or not? Okay, that is what is load test all about. Okay, if you see, load test ensures that the AUT, application under test, is stable and can handle expected load once the application is deployed, right? If the load test is successful, then we can tell client that the application is able to handle expected load, right? Then also we can provide the metrics and the response times as well. Okay, so now okay, I'll give some information about this. For example, again, there is a bank application. Okay, there is a bank application. Now the expected load is 500 users. Okay, assume that the expected load is 500 users. Now my question is, who is giving this 500 number for us? Anyone has any answer?
Business team.
Yeah, so business team will give this number. How are they arriving that to this number 500? How are they saying that that this is 500?
Number of business users.
No,
Number
based
of?
on the analysis, they might come up.
So how much end users they have, who is going to use this application? Based on this, they will arrive.
No, I mean no, but let's assume that HDFC Bank has 1 lakh customers, but all the 1 lakh customers will not log into the application or not access the application at a time, right? So there is no point in testing for 1 lakh users. So how to get to that number? You know, how many users
They
to
will get
test?
the simultaneous users they will get in the system. I mean,
Sir, based on the peak hours, like, for example, morning 8 o'clock is a peak hours for them, and the expectation of the load would be 500. So based on those analysis, they might come up with these number of users.
Yeah. So I mean, how they do is, they try to get the at least last 3 to 6 months data, minimum 3 to 6 months data. Okay. So they will identify in which month, on which day, okay, and which day more number of, the more number of users access the application. So they might use some SQL queries, to get this data. Okay. So so in which month, on which day more number of users access the application. Okay. And they'll get that number. And also one thing we need to remember is, the load test will always be performed for 1 hour, 1 hour steady state. Okay. The load test will always be performed for 1 hour. Okay. So that means in that particular month, okay, in that particular month, in which month, on which day, at what time, and what period of time more number of users accessed. For example, HDFC Bank will open daily at 10 a.m. But the bank's number of users, mostly access around 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That 1 hour. After 1 hour of opening the bank, people try to come in, or people try to log in from different sources, from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Let's assume that. So that particular 1 hour, more number of people access that application. So that peak hour load, I can consider it as expected load. Okay, got it? So this expected load in performance testing terminology can be considered, can be represented as 100% load as well. Okay, this expected load in performance testing terminology can be represented as 100% load as well, because going forward I might use 100% load or somewhere here or there. You should not get confused. Okay, so we are getting the number of users, okay, from the business. They are getting from, based on some previous data, production data, by using some SQL queries. They are trying to fetch the max number of users, particular hour. So if I want to put it in a single line, the busiest hour in last 6 months will be my expected load. Okay, number of users in the busiest hour in the last 6 months will be my expected load. It makes sense, right?
okay, sir. Sir, actually, your 500 you are taking based on the concurrent users in the peak load. Am I right?
Yes.
But in real life, okay. Example, take IRCTC. Okay. So the number of users will be much more. I mean, 50 to 100 times more than this, right? In
Yes.
real life.
Yes. So this. Yeah. Please go ahead. Please.
So can we do this load test, load runner have any limitation to the maximum number of user to generate a load?
No, I mean, we can test in we can test as many number of users, but but in real time scenario, those number of applications are very less. For example, Flipkart, or the Amazon or the IRCTC, these kind of big e-commerce websites or something like that, they have those big numbers. But in general, for any bank or or for any other insurance companies or any other applications, maximum, it can go up to 5,000 or 10,000 users per hour peak hour. Okay, so that's the reason I have given an example of 500 users for this HDFC Bank application. So now we got
correct, sir. But my question is, as you said, it is no, right? There is no limitation for the load runner.
no,
To
there is
the
no
load.
limitation. We can generate the number of users, not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we have load generators, right? Which will generate virtual users for us.
And Ashley,
they are highly configured machines actually.
yeah, to answer further, every user there is a license based. For example, if you want to test for 500 users, we have to buy a license for 500 users. If the max number, like what is the dependence on the application, what is the peak hours, so the number of users we might test, those numbers company has to buy. and
Yeah.
then we will be able to do it. That is the reason we will have that number limited there.
So where are we?
Sir, I
Yeah.
have one more question. For example, we have seasons, like for example, we have holiday seasons coming up. So I would say I'll take Amazon as an example. So we have the big million day and all. So in that particular time, the load might increase, suddenly from 500 to 5,000. I'm just giving an
Yeah.
example.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how will that be handled, sir? Because that cannot be happen on every day. Only on particular days it will be increased, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So for that reason, we have another test to be performed for that to get the output of it. For now we understood what is load test, right? So load test will be performed, to evaluate the performance of the application, okay, under some load, okay. That is nothing but the expected load, okay. This we are clear till now, right? Okay. So
Yes, sir.
now we have another type of test, right? Which is called as stress test. Okay, which is called as stress test. So basically, stress test is conducted, as the name suggests, we are stressing the system, right? We are stressing this application so much, that it breaks down. That it breaks down, we keep on adding the users until you find some breaking point kind of thing. Okay, so so if you see here, stress test is conducted by increasing the user load gradually until the application breaks. Okay, here I want to here I'll take one example. Okay, for example, there is a restaurant. Okay, there is a restaurant, and in that restaurant we have some around 5 tables. Okay, we have 5 tables, and we have one server who is who is taking orders from the customers for these 5 tables and is delivering the food. Okay, now if I add 3 more tables in the restaurant, okay, there will be total of 8 tables now. The same server, he can go to all the 8 tables, and he can take the orders from all the customers, and he can deliver the food without any problem. And, if I add two more tables, okay, then there will be total of 10 tables. Now the same server, he can still go to all the 10 tables, and he can get the orders from all the customers. But while delivering the food, he can take more time. The time taken for delivering the food might be delayed. Okay, it might be delayed, right? So what it means is, the more number of tables, the more stress on him in delivering the food. Okay, for example, if I add 10 more tables to that, okay, if I add 10 more tables to that, then there will be total of 20 tables. But at that point of time, the server might not be able to take the orders from all the tables, and he might not be able to deliver the food at all. Like that, if I compare it to our application, in the previous bank application example, okay, we had expected load of 500 users, right? We had expected load of 500 users. For example, if I add 300 users to that, okay, if I add 300 users to that, still the application server, will be able to process the request, and it will send the response time. Response times will be good. Okay, there might not be any issue. For example, if I add 200 more users, okay, if I add 200 more users to that, now there will be a total of 1,000 users, and still the app server will be able to send the response, but it might take some higher response time. The response time might be higher, or the response time might degrade. Okay, so because the load is more, we are increasing the load gradually, right? For example, if I add another 500 users, sometimes the application might stop responding. The infrastructure, whatever the infrastructure it has, based on the infrastructure, it can serve the purpose. Okay, if it is exceeding the limit, it will stop, it will stop processing the request, and it will start throwing the errors, right? When we see so many errors, then we can say that the server is not responding and the application has broken. Okay, when we see so many errors, then we can say that the server is not responding and the application is broken. Okay, so the stress test, the main objective of this test is to obtain the breaking point or saturation point. Okay? In some companies they call it as breaking point, and in some companies they call it as saturation point. And once the breaking point is attained, and there is notable increase in errors, and also there is a big increase in the response time, right? Because the server will not be able to take more than the specified number of requests. It is configured, the configuration of that particular server will be limited. Okay, so we have to test how much load the server can take. how much load the server can take. So as you said in the previous example, someone was asking, the Amazon or some website, how can they manage the big billion day or something. No, they do these stress tests for those, they for their servers. There will be so many servers for them. For all of them, they will do these stress tests and they will identify, what is the peak point it can handle. So based on that, they'll handle those requests. But in spite of that, the number of requests will be more, and so most of the times we have seen applications crashing. We have seen big billion day of Flipkart, and the starting first hour only sometimes it crashed, because even though we manage so many servers, so much of infrastructure, we might, in spite of spending so much money, still, sometimes the request might be more than expected. Okay, so now we understood what is a stress test, right? So with respect to stress test, there is one more point. If we are gradually increasing, the users, then that's okay. For example, the initial load was 500 users, and suddenly I suddenly increased to 1500. So if there is a sudden spike in user load, then we call it as spike testing. You should not get confused in going forward. If somewhere, if you find anywhere, spike testing kind of thing, you should not get confused. If the user load is suddenly ramped up, sudden ramp up of users, then we can call it as spike testing. Okay, now we are good with load test, we are good with stress test. So we understood what is stress test, right? So now we have one more type of test, which is nothing but endurance test. In some companies they call it as soak test, in some companies they call it as duration test as well. Okay, so now we'll see what is this endurance test. Testing for stability is nothing but endurance or soak test. But testing any application for stability is nothing but endurance or soak test. So few minutes ago, I asked you to remember 3 words: speed, stability, and scalability, right? So we can relate that speed to load test, okay, and we can relate that stability, to endurance test here. Okay, we can relate that stability to endurance test here. We are testing the application for stability. Okay, that means we are testing the application for longer time. Okay, and here we are checking the response times for that. Okay, the response time should be same until the execution is completed. Okay, in some companies, the endurance test, they will run for 8 hours. In some companies they'll run for 1 day. In some companies they'll run for 3 to 5 days. It depends on the project to project. Okay, in some companies they'll run for 3 hours only, but minimum hours duration to run endurance test is 8 hours. Okay, so what it means, the response time should be same until the execution is completed. Okay, for example, the first day, first hour, whatever the response times we are getting, the same response time should be there until the last day, last hour. Okay, so for suppose that this endurance test we have scheduled for 5 days. Okay, we have scheduled for 5 days. So the very first hour, whatever the response times we are getting, the response time should be similar or same in the last hour as well, on the 5th day. The performance should not degrade. Okay, the performance should not degrade. Okay, that's the reason we perform endurance test. Okay, if you see the last line, performance of this test is to identify performance bottlenecks like memory leaks, etc. So whenever we are getting any failures with respect to endurance test, it will be mostly related to memory leaks. Does anyone have any idea about memory leaks?
No.
Okay, so not a problem. So let's assume there will be some heap memory. In heap memory, when I say, it is nothing but RAM. Okay, nothing but RAM. So for example, while developer, when when he's developing the application, okay, he will create some objects. Like if you remember, we create objects in Java, like using new keyword. Okay, right? We create objects using new keyword in Java, for example. In C language, there is no oops concepts or objects concepts. So they declare some variables. So whenever we declare some variables in C language, or whenever we create some objects in Java or any .NET or Python, okay, there will be some memory allocated in the in the backend. Okay, there will be some memory allocated in the backend. Okay, so for example, the particular RAM size is 4 GB. Okay, the particular RAM size is 4 GB, for example. Now, no developer has while developing, he created some variables or he created some objects. Now I have started endurance test. Now I have started endurance test for 8 hours. Let's assume, or 8 hours or 1 day. Now the first 2 hours, after first 2 hours, my scripts kept on executing. My request went on hitting the server. And while the requests are getting processed, backend, these variables or objects are getting created. Okay, these variables or objects getting created. So it is consuming some memory. For example, after first 2 hours, let's assume 1 GB of RAM is already consumed. So after first 2 hours, how much memory will be remaining? 3 GB, right? So in the same way, after the next 2 hours, let's assume that 1 more GB is consumed. We'll have 2 GB remaining. So after next 2 hours, we'll have 1 GB. And after 2 hours, we will not have any memory left. At that point of time, the system will start throwing errors. The system will start throwing errors, and also the response time will be very high. Okay, if it is by mistake, if it is processing, the response time will be very high. Mostly it will be throwing errors, right? So in order to avoid this, basically developers, what they do is they deallocate the memory. Whatever the memory that is getting allocated, they will deallocate it. In C language, they have to do manually by using some free method. Okay, but in Java, the deallocating part will be taken care by garbage collection. Okay, there is some concept called garbage collection, and it will automatically collect all the unused objects here. Okay, so the purpose of this test is to identify the bottlenecks like memory leaks, etc. This is what the endurance test is all about. Any doubts with respect to endurance test? Okay. No, right? Okay then. So we'll move on to scalability test. Okay, so scalability, it's nothing but the testing the application for future load. This is also one of the word which you have discussed a few minutes ago: speed, stability, and scalability. Right? The scalability is nothing but that is referring to this, testing the application for future load. For example, in the previous example, the expected load was 500, right? The expected load was 500. For example, my client came to me and told, hey, currently we are testing with 500 users, but next year, my number of users might increase by 50%. Okay, my number of users might increase by 50%. Then what I should do? I should do a scalability test with the expected load plus that 50%. So what is that expected load in our example? 500 users. What is the 50% of 500? 250. So I should perform a scalability test with 750 users. Okay, this is to ensure that this test is performed using the user load considering the growth of the application under test down the years. Assuming that the user load might increase, okay, in coming years, so we will do the scalability test. Okay, but the base for all these tests is load test. If the load test is not successful, you cannot perform all these tests. The base for all these is the expected load test. The load test with expected load, that should pass. Okay, if that is passed, then only we can perform all these tests. If that is failing, then we will never do these tests actually. When 100% load test or expected load is not successful, then what is the use of testing this scalability or stress or endurance? It will never work. Okay, now we understood load test, and then we understood stress test, and then we understood endurance, and then we understood scalability test, right? Now here comes the last type of test with respect to performance testing, that is volume testing. So generally it is similar to load test, but the only change is here there will be huge data populated in the database. Okay, it is almost same, it is completely same as load test only, but the only difference is the data will be more in the database. The reason to test this is for example, in future, if there is any change in volume, in database volume, for example, now there are 1 lakh records in our database. Okay, the application database, there are 1 lakh records. Now after 2 years, the records might increase to 4 lakhs. Okay, Now the record might increase to 4. The records might increase to 4 lakhs. Now, keeping in mind, okay, the records might increase to 4 lakhs. I will do this volume test. I will do this volume test by by populating that much data now only into database, and I'll see how the database is responding. Okay, how the database is responding. If I request if I send any request, what are the response times with that particular data. Okay, so yeah, that is what is there in the example. Currently, if there are 1 lakh records in DB, and assuming after 1 year there would be 4 lakh records, so the test would be currently done with 4 lakhs data in the database. Okay, the purpose of this test is to check if there is any change in response time with increase in database volumes. This is very rarely done. This very rarely done. More, if there is any database dependency, more database dependency, or they might feel that we have to increase the database infrastructure in near future, then they will do this test. Okay, these are the 5 different tests, different types of performance testing that we would perform. But for all these, the base is the load test. Without the load test, we will never perform the remaining tests.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
So except volume testing, the other tests will be done on application, correct?
No, I mean database volume test is also done on the application, because the application in turn will get the data from database, right? So what they do is that it's the same load test only, but in database they will add so much data. For example, if there are currently 1 lakh records, they will add 3 lakh records into database now only. So if there is so much data, how the database is responding? Sometimes the developer will write a query to fetch some data. Okay, if the data is very less, the response will be very fast. If the data is too much, the data is too huge, okay, the query, it will take some time to search the data, and it will take some time to fetch the data for us. So at that point of time, if the data is too huge, and while testing database, while testing this volume test, if you are getting higher response times, then most probably there will be a chance, the developer has to tune the SQL queries. The developer has to tune the SQL queries so that basically he can add some indexes, or that indexer concepts and all. He can pull the data, even in spite of having the huge amount of data. So that is what the fix could be if there are higher response times.
Thank you, sir.
So any other questions with respect to what we discussed today?